All right, so we're gonna start with EG today. Right, just looking at structure and overall scale. All right, it looks like we're building something here, right? And the thing is that this does not necessarily have to give you a push up, right? This could easily start essentially, creating these continuation breaks of structure and continue lower. And the reason why I say that, right, is this. Actually, wait. I'm going to show you the whole scale. Right, so here, well, we have to see where we are to begin with. Okay, we have to see exactly where we're at right now. Right, which by, essentially how it looks like we're approaching this certain area, kind of. And why do I say that? Looking at the entire, pretty much schematic here, right, it's very obvious, right, that this is potentially our LPSY to create a potential lower low in the long run. Okay, why? Because it's taking so much effort, right, to continue structure here, right? It's taking so much effort, right? You can see it here. Whatever way you want to look at this, right? We still have that unwillingness we talked about last week, or was it a week and a half ago? And from a swing scale, right, this is still looking bearish, right? So now from an overall scale, we know where we're eventually going to get to. It's just a matter of understanding where we are in price and understanding, right, that we might not even get an entire, a pretty much a premium discount, a premium pullback in the short term. Okay, so the reason why this is important here, right, is because you don't see a big retracement, right? And you can very easily just see this start to melt, especially because we've already cleared a lot of buying liquidity. That was resting here, right? The buy liquidity that caused not only this, but this here has now been cleared. So the only reason why we would ever even need to come back to go lower is if we have any unmitigated potential spots. But I'm not looking for those mitigations. Unless we see a bullish structure break, right? Because as we're looking at structure on a smaller scale here, right, that's what took out this low, high, low, high, low, right? So we're currently in a very weird spot. That's a low, high, pretty much created our entire low here. We had our retracement. Where did we have our retracement? And 15 candle there, right? Had our reaction, right? Bearish order flow is intact here, right? But right, what I care about now is this, right? Because if we have our potential lower high here, even though it's not a full set lower high until we break structure, right? We now have unwillingness here, right? Which could have mitigated. Actually, I haven't checked. Could have mitigated something around here. Right, you could even see this wick here. Right, so let's say that mitigated, and created momentum. Right, momentum now does not clear a previous high. So we're now in a very weird spot. Even though we're still bearish, right, all this needs to do is take out our previous low for us to assume continuation. Right, so let's say this does eventually fail, create a type of bear flag, and gives us bearish order flow to the downside, actually creating that lower low that now solidifies this, and can easily start to roll over, right? Because we've seen this happen before with this pair where we have these essential bull flags begin to form, right? More so bearish channel. The reason why I say that is because this is very structured, and that's pretty much the main difference I've seen with flags and channels, right? Is how structured they are. If any type of order flow is intact, right? Which it obviously is. So we don't have enough data yet to assume any type of pullback, right? Not until, let's say, we break this high, which now creates a bullish break of structure, which would probably take out this structure point, right? So any type of pullback now could lead to an actual structure break. Obviously, we're counting still on that downside. It's not like I said, we don't have enough data, right, to assume any type of bullish movement, right? But we have reached pretty much a kind of stopping point where we have two signs of unwillingness here. So it's just a matter of seeing which way we're going to react, right? And this can easily start to give us bullish signs, because if we're looking at, let's see, I think it's 10 minutes. Right, if we're looking at essentially order flow here, right, you could say that's mitigated, that's mitigated, that's mitigated. So in order to continue bearish order flow, this would have needed to essentially hold and made bearish continuations. But obviously you saw this, right? And if we zoom in, not a good view on either. Yeah, not necessarily the best view. I'd probably go off of M5 here, right? But you could see that inefficiency there, right? Although we broke our POI here, that came back to mitigate, right? Now bearish order flows intact, it breaks structure, right? Comes back, even touch this, which is probably like an M5 inefficiency maybe. Yeah, just an M5 candle, yeah. And from there, you could see that move start to essentially build itself. But just because we built that move, right, does not necessarily mean we're going to see that new structural point, right? So, right, it's at a very, very weird scenario. I could easily see both essentially playing out, especially here. You can see equal highs. So it really just matters on how we open and how we react through Asian sessions, and then see how London will perform. But yeah, for the most part, right, pretty boring. This hasn't really been moving, right? Even though the opportunities have definitely been there, right? There's definitely one right there, which essentially created this whole move, right? 90 something pips. So it's, it's not necessarily the best, right? But just acknowledging where we are in structure, this can easily start to melt down. But yeah, I'm not going to assume any type of pullback until we get those strong bullish breaks of structure. Now this one's a weird one. Okay, this is just looking at how our daily closed, right? Extremely messy. It's been extremely messy for like the past week. And as you can see, right, we got a very, very strong closure here, right? Which is essentially holding off now and can really start to give us any type of pullback, right? Just going off of closures, right? But as we start zooming in, right, our daily super messy, right? We're still technically inside of that range, right? Even as we are zooming in, you could see this is super messy. Why? Because our intraday, right, was bullish here, right? And we haven't created a new high yet. So this can easily be seen as unwillingness, because after we got the next potential higher low, right, we are not creating a bullish structure, obviously here, right, which is now technically going through unwillingness, right? So if we start to break these lows, we can easily start to roll over. Right, especially seeing the price action here. Right, I'm trying to see if this mitigated anything, which it looks like it did. Yep. Right there, that mitigated, created the pretty much sign of unwillingness, right? And it even came back to mitigate this, which is probably in a smaller time frame, right? As you can see, this candle here. Not only after that, we are presented corrective structure, pretty much a liquidity graph here. I wouldn't consider that a major structure break, especially how fast it reacted afterwards, right? But as you can see, we're doing very, very corrective nature here. So in order for this to either continue, right, it could easily continue higher. Why? Because you can easily say we're in a bullish structure range here, and we're essentially continuing higher, right? And we could have easily mitigated something down here, right, which could have incited bullish movements, right? But this can easily also fail and essentially give us 50% here. Could give you anything like a 50% even fulfillment up here to create another unwillingness to continue lower. But obviously we don't have enough data to project that. So because we're so messy currently, it's not something I'm really going to touch. I'd rather like to see this show its hand and then give us opportunity, whichever way it goes, right? Because we will probably see a clear direction that this wants to take, probably this next week. Based off the weekly closures, you could easily assume bullishness. But don't forget, right, we've already broken through that. So I don't consider this to be a mitigation. So essentially, this could easily just be a result of the release of liquidity, which inevitably makes you go lower. Super overextended, right? But I don't want to assume any type of reversal just yet, right? There's not enough. It would take way too long to make that type of assumption that we're just going to break structure here. And obviously the probability of that happening is pretty slim. Back to this one. So EU, this one was one. So I was kind of wanting to take a scenario here, right? And let me tell you why. So the bias never changed, right? I never wanted to sell this, right? Even though we were presented with very good bearish opportunities, right? By all means, these are very, very good trades, but in the grand scheme of things, they don't really matter because I'm not looking for these moves, right? I'm looking for these moves, right? So I've told you guys before, as a swing trader, I'm willing to wait as long as I'm willing to hold the trade, okay? So as long as I still see the potential in the move, I'm gonna probably try to take it. And if I decide to hedge or if I decide to go against my own positions, obviously that's on me. But I don't really like to do that, which is why I didn't want to sell any times up here. Because realistically, in a bigger picture, it doesn't really make much sense, right? So even if you get a very favorable outcome, right, the probability of that type of scenario to be probable isn't as high, right, in the grand scheme of things, right? Obviously, like I said, this is a very good, 100 pip move? Yeah, 100 pip move, right? So as I was seeing this, let me just go to 30, right? As we saw this drop, right, extremely fast, right, even carried momentum. So this wasn't something I was trying to pick a low from, but I was attentive to where we reacted from. Why? Because theoretically, right, if we already incited, right, bullish structure here, right, we have our pullback, now we have our unwillingness, right? So if our unwillingness, right, is happening here, theoretically this is going to be taken out, and if this is taken out, that's now a bearish break of structure, and theoretically this is not going to be taken out, right? So as we're looking at structure, right, we now have our unwillingness here and we have our lower low here, so we're technically still bearish, right? So right, I was trying to get a type of counter buy down here, right? I'm pretty sure it was a 5-minute POI, right? I had this somewhere, I believe it was in the side of this candle or inside this candle. Those are my two potential POIs there. And I was wanting to see, right, if we had some type of mitigation inside of here, right, probably in between there, whether it's inside of this wick, whether it's inside of this wick, or whether we deep down inside of this wick. So this would have probably been my point of invalidation here, which can still very easily hit. All right, so let's just say my overall POI could be inside of here. Right, so unfortunately I didn't get that here, right? But like I said, I am paying attention to where moves are starting from. So I believe this was like M15, right? I didn't actually drop down because it didn't really matter to me if I dropped down, but you can obviously see a candle here at this extreme retracement, right? So like, as I've said before, this isn't really my type of scenario. These aren't the types of trades I would take. Why? Because you're essentially picking a low, and the probabilities of this just being the pullback initiation, right, is very probable. So like I said, in longevity, these aren't the best types of trades, even though you'll probably get a reaction from them. So as I was looking at that, right, which is what led me to this potential POI, because I'm trying to continue bullish order flow, and if we mitigate anywhere in here and, you know, create those bullish signs, then price has no reason to come back lower, right? And if that happens, right, this could easily begin to rocket, right? Because, and the reason why I'm saying that is just looking at structure here, right? So we know structure is obviously bullish inside of this bearish pullback, okay? So I believe that we can easily get some type of reaction, right, based on here, and we can easily see some type of liquidity grab with purpose to then continue higher. Obviously, that's me picking a low, and it's going against, not only these breaks of structure, which is still technically overall bearish, right? Which would be considered probably major intraday, probably a swing. I'd say probably my swing is up here, right? But the swing didn't necessarily break, as we've covered before. So I'm only playing, right, on the potential of this being a liquidity grab. Right, because you can see we didn't break the structure. We didn't essentially create a substantial low, right? If we were going to create a substantial low, we would have easily reached, right, the inefficient pricing we were talking about. But this doesn't necessarily have to come back here, because as we spoke before, right, there's some there, and there is another spot, and there's some right there. Right, so it doesn't necessarily have to come back. It'll probably come back down the road, right? But I just genuinely can't assume that. So what I'm playing off of is current data. I'm playing off of a potential liquidity grab there. Which now has broken the final pretty much leg here, which has now initiated the overall pullback. Right, so I would naturally expect this to essentially create a corrective nature, potentially give a liquidity grab, and then go. Obviously, this can completely fail, and this can easily begin new lower lows, and we can start seeing those recoveries back into the inefficient pricing we were talking about. But I'm not going to assume that, because this is what lines up more with my overall bias. And if this works, nice. If it doesn't, oh well. I'm not really stressing it too much, because at the end of the day, we are trying to play inside of a range, and we're not essentially letting it show its hand. So yeah, for the most part, right, if we do get that reaction to go higher, right, this now proves that this is unwillingness to make an overall new high. And if that's the case, then we can start aiming obviously up here and up here. So it makes a lot of sense to me, but obviously we'll only know if it happens. Right, and then also too, if we do indeed get this, right, pretty much the same thing that's going to potentially happen here. Pretty much the same thing. Right, but I'm still going to assume this bullish structure for as long as I can. Yeah, it could be. And it just doesn't make sense for me for dollar to go up. It doesn't make sense for me. Yeah, I could easily do something like that. The thing is that this was with purpose though, but just not on EU. Where was this? This was here. Right. Oh, that was the. Oh, actually, hold on. That was the. That was a news day, correct? That was a news day. What happened this day? I remember this day. I don't remember. Was it election day? Yeah, but this happened like right at market open, I believe. right around Asian sessions, which is super annoying. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, the thing is though, is for this to happen, you need a catalyst. Right, so do we have any big... I never check this anymore either. Nothing too big here. NZD, USD, GBP. Yeah, nothing too bad until Friday. Yeah, who knows? I'm excited. Do not expect these numbers to be any good. Could be better than last time, which could create a bullish reaction, but don't expect these numbers to be any better. Damn. Yeah, but overall it's been slow. I mean, it's been a slow beginning of the year, which is good for me, but we are coming to the close of January, which, you know, this is expected though. We're coming down from a very big impulsive move. It's only natural to see this type of candle. Like, I just want some type of grab so we can obviously get that opportunity and actually aim for these, right? Which now fully creates bearish structure, right, from this unwillingness. So, could be a good year. Could be a very good year. But yeah, other than that, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Hey,
We need
Frank.
trading again when I finish the course. I mean, I'm starting to look into stuff now. So, like, if that scenario presents itself and the alerts go off, then, you know, I'm going to take it. What's up?
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Is my mic too low?
Can you speak up a little bit, or just get closer to your mic? I think that'll be fine.
Yeah, okay. I was looking at something you pointed out on EG. So if you go on the M30, I think. I was looking at something there. It was actually what you pointed out. Yeah, so can I annotate this? Yeah. Can you zoom out a bit? So yeah, you were talking, we had this intraday range, right? So this point came to a premium and basically gave unwillingness, right? This.
But it's not unwillingness until we take this high.
Yeah. So I was thinking some type of pullback on this region to continue low. Like since we didn't break this low, right? We can consider this high as liquidity. I was just looking at that.
Yeah, of course. But as we zoom in, right, this would be your quote-unquote liquidity if this is not broken, right? But you have to keep in mind too, here, right, we've already had the unwillingness and the unwillingness didn't break, right? But now the issue is, where did this react from? Probably somewhere this candle. So this could easily incite bearish order flow. So like I said, it's super 50-50 because we have this. But you just have to keep in mind too that the overall is still bearish. So yeah, could go both ways. Preferably, I mean, if we finally get a bullish pullback, that would be ideal for the overall bias. But looking at this monthly too, super sloppy. I mean, super bearish here. right? So I would really love to see this meltdown over the course of this year, especially because, right, you see stuff like this after, right, pretty much a X period of time, liquidity grab, and then we see a very quick release. And this, I can see why this resonates with stocks though so much, right? Stocks tend to take the stairs up and take the window down. Prime example. Right, take the stairs up, go out the window, take the stairs up, go out the window, take the stairs all the way back up. So that same ideology could be easily applied here. Right, X period of time, liquidity grab, overall quick release. Right, that's why I've been so excited for this move, is even though it's taken so long. That's why I'm so excited for it. But yeah, do you guys have any other questions? But is it valid first if you break this low? Yeah. Wait, what are you talking about? What low? On what time frame? Yep. This is a very good target long term. But if you're talking about this, yeah, I think that's what you're talking about. Right, unwillingness, bearish structure. Right. Makes a lot of sense though. Right, because if we do get this, right, we're probably even gonna reach these lows. Why? Because looking at this overall structure, unwillingness, break of structure, liquidity. That's super long term though. But it's good to have a very good long term bias. Right? Because even though the market condition here is very sloppy, once it's essentially released and once we actually get that bias and to pretty much assure the bias, right here is where we can see a very nice fall. Right? Get these types of candles here. Right? Because if you really pay attention, right, look at how sloppy this has been for years. Right, obviously here's a good drop, good intraday moves there. Right, then this stupid thing happened, and then now we're here. Right, so this overall market condition isn't the best, but once the bias shows its hand, that's where it's easy going. What are you talking about? No, because I'm focused on I don't really care about this, right, because we're still in this. That's why I'm saying we can easily see something like that, because bearish structure is still intact until this breaks. Let's say this breaks here. Okay, now I'm looking in between here to go up. I'm not going to play this range here until we have a significant structure break, if that makes sense. That's what I'm telling you. Don't focus on essentially these types of moves. Focus on these. These are what's going to tell you the actual direction. Yeah, but I do like how we have, like, if you reference time here, right? Very linear, very linear, very linear, linear. Now we have the zigzag nature. So that's also very alarming. Right, that's pretty much applying how momentum works. And if you do get a drop here, praying we get unsupported volume, right? Hopefully react from a POI, give you something, and then just take it to the moon. It would be cool. But that's only assumption, because you still have to reference that. Yeah, so just remember, highs that create lows and lows that create highs. And if you ever get confused about that, you can easily just box it. Right, I don't really use that pivot indicator anymore. I don't know how it works, how that specific, I guess, quote unquote algorithm would work. I don't know how it analyzes higher lows and higher highs. Right, so I'd rather just mark them out myself. Right, so this is still overall bearish. But like I said, in the grand scheme of things, you could easily see a liquidity grab, mitigation, another mitigation, and then moon. That'd be cool. Yeah. But yeah, as you can see, super messy, right? Even though we have trended, right, super messy because we're not getting anywhere. We're still stuck in the same range, even though we're creating these linear moves. Right, so it doesn't even make that interesting to trade. Very playable though. Pretty sure you could easily read bearish order flow here. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got for today. Unless you guys have questions. For sure, for sure. Course coming along well, yeah. I'd really like it if you guys didn't ask me about that though. I don't like feeling pressured. But yeah, school's going well too. Did like my first couple assignments yesterday. Because I don't want, and this is why I don't want you to ask me about it. I don't want you to feel as if this material is going to essentially change your world. It's not going to do that. So if you have that type of expectation, I would really stop that. Right? Yes, you're going more into detail, but at the end of the day, it's just more information to digest. And at the end of the day, it's not necessarily what information you digest, it's about how you digest it, which is why the same material since RCV launched has become better to the individual over time. Right, which is why you learn more over time, which is why I do the whole no questions for 4 to 6 weeks. Right, because if you notice, every single week is just me repeating the same stuff, right? Although it's a different scenario, it's repeating the same stuff. So like if you're in a mindset of, oh, this information is gonna change my world, it's probably not gonna happen. That's not to get their hopes down. It's just being real. But yeah, other than that, what do you think of GU? I don't look at GU right now. Don't really care for it. Look at this. This is ridiculous, bro. Are you serious? Yeah, you're getting these nice retracements, but it's obviously showing you that order flow isn't in one direction, even though one side is slightly winning. Yeah, same routine. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this is not something I'm interested in. But I would love for this to just pop off. Why? This could easily just pop off. Looking at the inverse here. Right, we're potentially here. Right, so we've already gotten our spring and LPS here, right? We're technically in an SOS stage because we're right around the previous quote-unquote resistance. So this could easily pop off. That's what I'm saying. If EG gives you that bearish scenario and it continues lower, and then EU gives you that bullish scenario, this is going to pop. All right, so just making it make sense. I'm struggling a bit with structure and correlating, for example, M15, M30, H1, H4. Well, for one, are you differentiating them? Two, do you know the rules to even what structure is to you? EG heavy downside? Yeah, big time, big time. Yeah, GU could easily pop off, yeah. I'd love to see that. Understanding structure, though, is really just necessarily understanding highs that create lows, lows that create highs. If you can't understand that, then you're probably not going to be successful with it. Yeah, definitely. Bro, it's just the thing is, I don't, like, for one, you guys know I don't look at a lot of pairs. Two, it's like, most of these pairs are ranging. Like, look at this. Look at this. Right, we're not in a trending market, so. Ooh, excuse me. Right, most of these pairs are ranging, so it's like nothing's interesting right now. Like, I don't really care to get a low or pick a high. I just care for it to show its hand. What do you mean you don't get it? This is something too. I'll touch on something too when I'm talking about this. 3-day. I'll do the daily. Today, let's see. Daily. Right, so this could easily, like, the reason why I'm saying it could easily be something like this is because looking at our, obviously, you could say either these two are your pre-supply, your setting climax, automatic rally, right? The reason I'm saying that is, although this automatic reaction is overextended, right? A quote-unquote resistance could be there, right? And that's just how Wyckoff works, though, right? Seeing this here, where this being your automatic rally. So this could either pop off in either direction. Why? Because it's taking so long to make a move. So it means something's pretty much charging up, if that makes sense, right? And if we're looking at our spring here, right, with our test being there, right, the test has already created optimism, right, created these relative equal highs, got an LPS here, right? Which then led to more optimism here. So this could easily pop off because it just makes all the sense in the world here. That's also why I'm saying, like, I don't know why you guys, like, I don't know why anyone does this, to be honest. Like, it's a, like, for example, if we're looking at our schematic, right? Pre-supply, southern climax, ST1 and AR, ST2 and spring, right? If you're doing that, right, looking at your pre-supply, southern climax, automatic rally, secondary test phase B, spring, test. I don't know why we're so essentially obsessive with wanting to see this move and then call this a test, because that does not make sense. A test isn't a test of structure. A test is a test of your spring, right? A test of your spring creates that optimism, right? Like here, the test of the spring, this is usually very structured and incites bullish order flow, right? Obviously this pattern right here is terrible because you're assuming that this is a low, right? Even though you have that diminishment, I think this is a terrible example, so don't focus on this. Focus on the picture at hand and focus what it means. Preliminary supply, sending climax. This is why you want to see that increase in volume, right? Secondary test phase B, right after you get these moves, right? You want your secondary test phase B, right, to essentially be a quote unquote diminishment of volume compared to this, right? And the thing is that you can never assume a schematic, because based on theory, right, if you have that essentially that massive red volume and then you have this on very low volume, you can easily see a liquidity grab, a break of structure, right, and a very probable opportunity to give you a long, right? Which is why I can't assume this will happen until it happens, right? You need data. You can't assume without the data, which is why it's also very important to understand your structure, right? So it's all based on data given, right? Trade what you see and how you think you see, right? This here is trading what you think you see. Even if it works out, you're not being efficient with your trading, right? This is trading what you think you see. Whereas the longs that I took, like, what, last July, right? There's a reason why I didn't buy. There's a reason why I didn't buy here. Why? Because it's still technically bearish, right? Until we created the optimism, right? Then pretty much here is where you should be long. Right, so you're going based off data, right? But how do you begin to assume these? Well, you're just following structure here. Right, so after we've seen this, I took my longs here. Hold on, I don't think you guys can see my screen. Oh, actually, which markup was it? Why don't you send me the markups, bro? So I can just open them up on Chrome. I don't have to open up Discord. Yeah, I have the chart here, but there's 7 charts. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay. So what are you confused about here?
So, can I annotate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Basically, I don't understand, for example, here the M15. I think this is M15 structure. But for example, for me, I see something like this, and then here a point of structure.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be this structure point that you're already analyzing. That's a smaller time frame. That's below what I'm showing you. This would not. I'm showing.
But for example, in another screenshot, you have this marked up.
Let me see. Did I make a mistake on it? Let me see. Is there? Did you send all of them?
I'm gonna send that one that I'm talking about.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay, minor intraday here. Yeah. So this, I don't mean this to be major intraday. I just mean this to be a shift in minor intraday, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because I use the same color, right?
Yeah.
I use the same color? Okay, yeah, that's my bad. I should not have used this color. What I'm doing this blue here for is to show the change of momentum. BOS. That's what I mean here. BOS.
Okay.
Another BOS. So now you're playing inside this range. I don't mean this to be major intraday. I'm just showing a different color to show you that it's now not bullish, it's bearish. If that makes sense.
Okay. But for example, this could be how can I say? This could be considered structure points in M15.
What do you mean?
For example, why we could not say that this is a structure point in M15?
Well, I don't care about that right now.
Why would I care about this? But I'm asking because on the another
let me see
chart. You said that we could not count with this one because it's minor intraday. But for example,
this is below your minor intraday. Yeah, but I see what you mean now. I see what you mean now. I'm not referencing these right here. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But what I am referencing is I don't see why this matters if I've already seen this.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Why, so tell me, why does this matter here? Why does this matter?
Okay, but for example, this part doesn't exist. This one here.
It's not that it doesn't exist. It doesn't matter to the information that I'm currently working in. How does this information matter to me for here?
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like answer that. Like why does that matter?
Yeah, of course. But I'm asking.
I'm not understanding his question. What am I not understanding about his question?
Sorry, my bad English, bro.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I want to see what your question is.
Okay, so basically, I'm saying, imagine that this part of the chart doesn't exist. Okay. So I'm asking if we are here, and we only have these points. Would you consider this part of the structure on the M15?
Oh yeah, I mean we could even zoom back to that right now. What date is that? November 4th. Okay. Let's see. November 4th. Okay, so we're here. Okay, so you're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm referencing here is, right, I'm referencing the major intraday there, right?
Yes.
And I'm referencing the legs here to be the minor intraday. Minor intraday composes major intraday. So these, I would probably see them as scalping legs, if that makes sense. Okay. And that's obviously not here, which should be there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, 100%. But I was asking that only because for me, I see these points here as the same as that ones.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I think I see what you mean now. I see what you mean. Let me delete this. Okay, yeah. So that's probably confusion on my end. Let's see. So what you mean is here. Why am I not considering this entire push here? Right? Is that what you're saying? If why these aren't green on this picture?
No. I mean, I know in the other pixel those are green. But this movement is similar to this movement here. So I don't know why this can be considered like scalper legs, as you said, and this one aren't scalper legs.
Okay. So this is probably going to be the most confusing part about understanding your structure here. Okay, why? Because remember when I told you, did I say this last call, was it? That I'm not really too, how do I say, I'm not really too worried about specifically naming each leg. I just care about what the directional bias is saying. Did I say that last call? Yeah, you remember that? Okay. And that's because you can get essentially, I can get a tongue twist and you can essentially become very confused and misunderstanding, let's say, a quote-unquote minor intraday over a quote-unquote scalp leg. So that's essentially what is happening here, right? And as you can see, it happens even to me. So in this scenario, right, which is pretty much here, where is this? I'm going to speed this up a bit. All right, let's say we're here. Right, as I said, the major intraday would have been here. Right, is that what I put here? This here. Major intraday, if I'm seeing that right. Right, 9-5, yeah. Right, major intraday. And because these legs are so sloppy, there's different ways to view these minor intraday. You could easily say here, there, or you could even consider this. Right, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not labeling specifically, you know, what I believe each leg is. What I care about is knowing what the direction is, right? Which is why I don't care if this looks like this. What I care about is in seeing these legs here break structure, create a new low, showing its hand. This is what showing its hand means. And this is why I care about taking these retracements. Right, so if this scenario had not happened, right, I would have wanted to sell here. Right, if that makes sense. So what I'm pretty much trying to get to at here is don't focus on the specific label. Focus on just knowing what the directional bias is, right? By acknowledging legs inside of legs, right? Because the reason why I label them is so you can get a general understanding. That does not mean you have to label every single leg, because then you're going to get confused. It's the same principle as trying to differentiate 5 different POIs in a minute 5 leg, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
Which is why I'm trying to not decompose, but I'm trying to break down the legs that I see the same way that I would break down a POI, and I'm just trying to refine it the most that I can.
Yeah.
Right,
my problem wasn't the labeling, was just knowing what's the important part or not important part for structure. Because I knew the major structure was I don't remember, was bearish, and the minor structure was bearish too. But after the broke of structure, it turned to bullish the minor structure, and the, I don't know how to say that, but the major structure is still to bearish.
So what you have to consider, right, is how do you begin pullbacks? How do you begin a swing pullback?
With a schematic?
No. What? No. You don't need a schematic to create a break of structure, bro.
Oh, okay.
How do you initiate a pullback for a swing leg?
With a minor broke of structure.
Exactly. So just by knowing that, you know that the lower in structural level that you're going through is the less probable, the less secure. Right? Which is why I don't want you to just base yourself, just like how Harris is doing here. I don't want you to base yourself off of just reading this. You know what I'm saying? Because you're still bearish. Right? And this is my overall leg. And I'm just decomposing it to see what's happening inside the legs. Yeah, so for example, in order for you to get this leg pullback, you have to get those scalping breaks of structure.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you, bro.
So it's less secure the lower you go.
Okay, I got you, bro. Thank you.
Why is the man gotta out me? Right, that was pretty confusing though. My bad. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the last time we did an hour-long webinar. Yeah, I probably didn't. I don't even think I understood what his question was.
But I understood the answer, bro.
Okay. So somebody, if somebody else can repeat the question. His question, from what I understood now, was why are these being marked up one way and why are these marked up another way? Right? So I made a mistake here. The colors that I'm referencing here, I wasn't referencing here, if that makes sense. All I'm referencing here is the fact that I'm still overall bearish. And what I'm referencing here is that we have the switch in momentum. No, right here, no, I would consider that scalping. But like I said, don't focus on naming the legs. I'm focusing on what the legs mean. You see, like, you typing is not going to help this out whatsoever. Right on the screen. Right on the screen.
Yo, Alfie.
Yes.
He's basically saying, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's basically saying that, see, this bit here, why is that not considered a 15-minute structure, but this bit here looks almost like the same, but it is?
Is that what the question is?
Yeah, basically.
So, someone back me up here.
Okay, so let me.
Yeah, but basically.
So it is considered structure, but what I was telling him is that it's not relevant to me right now.
Yeah, bro, fuck all that, man. He just wants to know if this is considered.
Oh, he just wants to know if it's considered structure at all.
Is that what it is, Luca? Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, so you want to know if this would be considered structure?
Yes, because this looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah. Then yes, it would be, yes. Then yeah, it would be.
Luca, is that right, yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
Fucking hell, wow, Mongo you are already.
I was so confused with what his question was, that's why. But yeah, then yes. Then the answer is yes. My bad. You should have just said that from the beginning, just so you know. get what you mean though. I get what you mean though. But yeah, this actually went on for an hour. No, I'm saying, why didn't Harris just say that from the beginning? Harris should have said that from the beginning, so you could blame him. Nah, Luca, you're the man, bro. Just blame it on Harris and you'll be alright. At least we got the point across. Yes. Nah, you'll be alright. But yeah, I think I'm gonna just end it off there if that's cool with everybody. Yeah, that was pretty fucking loud. I'm not gonna lie. Nah, they'll be alright. They'll be alright. Warning in the description. You can tell Sergio to do that. Alright, I guess we can just end it off there. No worries, no worries. Yeah, if you really look into the Discord, you'll see that Harris is always playing some video game. It's pretty funny. Alright, though, for real, I'm gonna end it here.